Hey guys, it's Melody with Design by Melody here. I have another layout for you. This one's actually titled the Dinosaur Exhibit. It took me an hour and 25 minutes to complete. And I think it's just because there were a lot of little parts on this layout. It wasn't that complex in itself, but I don't know why it took so long because it really should have. I'm actually a relatively quick scrapbooker, so you know, taking a really long time on a layout is just not my thing. And if I do start taking too long, then I stop because usually that means I'm hemming and hawing about things and just not making a decision. So, anyways, let me tell you what I'm doing in the layout. So I have this like chevron teal paper in the background, and I really like it. And then I had this solid teal cardstock as well. So I'm going to use it to map my photos. I have two photos. I have a larger photo, a 4x6 horizontal photo that's a picture of a T-Rex like skeleton. It's a little bit dark on the camera, but it's a lot more, you can make it out a lot better in person. And then the other photo, it's a little bit more different. It's not the best quality, the other photo, because of all the yellow in the background. We were in a museum in downtown Raleigh, and Calen loves this T-Rex head. It's just the head, and you can touch it. You could like stick your head inside his mouth if you want. So Calen always has fun, stepping up on the bench and touching it. So I got a picture of both of these, the big large skeleton and then Calen next to the head. So I'm kind of playing around with a bunch of little bits here, and a lot of what you're seeing right now is not actually going to end up on the final layout. And that's probably why this layout took so long, because I went back and forth on it quite a bit. Like, I'm cutting out this summer to-do list, and it totally does not make it on this layout. It makes it on the next layout. So I'm going back to the papers that I have in my kit, and I'm starting to look at them going, okay, well, what can I do? So I have this frame. It was from a jelly bean soup set, and I wanted to back it because I didn't want the teal to show through in the background. And after I do all of this, I don't even do it. I don't even, doesn't even make it on the layout. And I should have traced the inside and then cut a circle out instead of cutting around the scallop, which is what I'm doing. So I cut all this out, but I really wanted to show you because sometimes I struggle. Most of the time my layouts come together under an hour, but sometimes I really struggle and I go back and forth, and that's what you're seeing here. A lot of times before I start the camera, the only thing I do is I pull out the photos and the background paper, and then I do the rest on camera. So true to my normal fashion, I kept it in here because I wanted you to see the struggle. It's not always easy. I mean, and sometimes my creative juices are not flowing properly. And then after I did all of that, I decided, okay, I don't like that. It's too busy. It's not the right color. So I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to cut around. And then I'm going to back it with a white cardstock. And then I still don't end up using it on my layout. That pink circle thing that you're seeing there right under the photo of Calen, and it's actually a mini cupcake holder or a mini muffin holder. And I don't end up using it on this layout. I end up using it on a following layout, but I don't use it on this one. But I really like the color of it. It's like a pink with a dark pink on the edge with white polka dots in the middle, which I love. I really do like it. So this is where I decided I was going to be smart this time and trace the inside of the oval and just cut a little bit outside the outline or outside the pencil line of what I traced. And so I have a white backed gray frame now. I go along this path for a little bit and then I start changing my mind. So I have this die cut that I just cut from a piece of paper that said live good, be happy, and that does make it on my final layout. And then that little hashtag, it's a speech bubble with a hashtag, that makes it. I just thought that was really funny, kind of coming out of the dinosaur, like what? Or like bleep. And then these, like that speech bubble with the hashtag is actually out of, if you watched my haul video in August, I have a pack of chipboard pages. I think there were like 12 chipboard pieces of paper. Well, chipboard sheets. There we go. With a bunch of cutouts, or not cutouts, a bunch of chipboard shapes. Yeah, I'm having a difficult time with my words today. Someone called me this morning, and I told him I'd have to call him back at 10 o'clock because my brain was on hiatus until 10 a.m. Yeah, and apparently it shuts off at about 4 p.m. So, yeah, I'm struggling. Hashtag struggling. Yeah, back to the layout. What I'm doing is, so I kind of totally rerouted my brain at this point, and I just kind of stopped and I started cutting into some scraps I have, and I was looking for anything kind of in the pinky red tones, white, and teal. And I'm making a bunch of banners at the top. I'm just kind of varying them. I have no real rhyme or reason other than making sure there's not too many of the same colors right next to each other. Some of them I'm cutting with a pennant shape and some just as a diagonal bottom. And I'm just gluing them on, and I'm going to stitch across the top. I'm only gluing them kind of at the top so the bottom of them kind of stick up a little bit just to have a little bit more dimension, but I'm going to stitch across the top. I saw this on some paper that somebody had in a YouTube video, and it was the banners hung down from the top left corner, and I believe it hung down to about 2/3 of the page, but it was mostly on the left side of the paper, and I thought it was the coolest. So I'm kind of mimicking that here. I wish I remembered where it was from because I completely would tell you because I thought it was a cool piece of paper. I think it was a piece of paper. Either that or it was a Project Life card. But that's what I'm mimicking here. So I'm going to cut down this photo. I just don't like all the yellow space that's in the background. And I didn't like all the extra stuff. So I'm cutting down this 4x6 photo, and I'm going to mat it on just some white cardstock here to do the background, and then I'll mat it back on that teal cardstock. Oh, actually it's not white cardstock. Oh, so I have a scrap bin that's under my desk, on a shelf that's under my desk, and anytime I need white paper just to back a photo or mat a photo, I grab the single-sided pattern paper scraps out of there and use it. If they're in my scrap bin, I'm not guaranteed to use them, so I try to use them any way I possibly can, whether it's scrap paper or matting a photo on the backside or whatever. I use it whenever I can, but I'd rather use it than throw it away. Now, all these little die cuts that you see are actually chipboard pieces, and these, I was starting to say that. Oh yeah, so back in my August haul, I had picked up a pack. It was like a value pack of chipboard, and they were in 8.5 by 11 sheets, and they had all these die cuts of printed chipboard shapes, and I got it for like $4 or something like that at Hobby Lobby, and I started using them, and they're really kind of generic shapes and like sentiments, but I really like them. So I went through, I had just picked out 2 sheets of it and stuck it with the kit this month. No real rhyme or reason, I just picked 2 of them just to start using them. And of the 2 that I had picked out, I punched out some of the teal, the white, and the gray ones before I started this layout, so I would kind of have them at the ready, kind of had them handy off to the side of where I'm working, where you can see. And so I have a banner that I've added to the top banner area that says the good stuff, and then the hashtag speech bubble is one of those. The little white frame on the bottom right of the photos is one. Right now there's a banner on top of the photo with Calen that says "Oh Snap," which I end up taking off, but that's one of them. The little star, the teal and white star, is one of them as well. This one that says "Picture Perfect" is one of them. I'm going to put a few kind of like half hexagons at the bottom, and those are them as well. And then I'm going to have one, or you see it right there at the very bottom of the layout. It is teal, and it has a white @ symbol on it. That's one of them as well. So now I felt like my photos needed a little bit of grounding, so I'm taking this gray tone-on-tone polka dot washi tape, and I'm going to put it right below the 2 photos, and I'm going to stitch across those as well. In just a moment, I'm going to kind of stop the camera, go do my stitching across the banners at the top as well as the washi tape, and here we go. This is what it's going to look like. And I wanted to have it on camera, but the camera angle wasn't working right and you weren't able to really see what I was doing. So I've stitched across the top and I've stitched there, and then I've also done 2 little lines at the bottom, which is where I'm going to put my title. At this point, I don't know exactly what my title is going to be or what thickers I'm going to use, but I knew it was going to be at the bottom, so I just assumed that 2 little stitching lines would work. I have a few of these little gray and white cameras that I had cut out of paper, so I'm just kind of using those in my little embellishment clusters. I really liked how this layout turned out. As much as I went back and forth on it, on my decisions on it, I really wasn't sure how it was going to work, but I'm really happy and really pleased with how it turned out. Just adding my Live Good, Be Happy, and I've got my little frame with I backed it with a piece of like pink, that pinky red color scrap paper. I'm going to put it right here. I also have this little vellum speech bubble that I'm putting behind there, just to add a little bit of something, another layer behind there. And then I'm adding my little star cutout. And I have this other little camera. It was just on the corner or the edge of the paper whenever I cut out all those cameras. And I keep the ones that aren't even a full piece, because a lot of times I do clusters on the edge of my layout and I end up cutting some of those pieces in half. So I had this half camera, and that's what I'm going to use right here. So this is where I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this @ sign, and it's going to say at the Dinosaur Exhibit. So I start looking through, trying to figure out what I have. And this is where I decide I'm going to use these in Dinosaur. And I'll have to shift my title over in just a moment. Because where I did the stitching, it's about 3/8 of an inch off the bottom of the layout, but you see this R that's in it's got the last letter of dinosaur. It has this long kind of curly Q tail, and it fit perfectly in that space. So if I put the R at the end of the stitching, then it just kind of hangs off directly down to the bottom of the page, and it looks great. So I'm going to add a piece of that gray washi tape here to kind of give the rest of the word a grounding point, and it also brings that gray washi back down to the bottom. And I'll move that @ symbol up a little bit. I'm trying to figure out what other letters I have. So I'm going to use these October Afternoon. I believe they're called Strawberry Ice Cream. That's the little tile ones are the ones that I used for the word the. And then I'm using these Doodlebug Design ones. No. Yeah. I believe it's Doodlebug Design in Lily White, and I'm using the tile letters on there to write exhibit. Just kind of gluing down my elements here. I really like how the title turned out. I think it's really cute, and it ties in a lot of the colors that are on this layout. And then because the exhibit piece is floating a little bit, I'm going to use those chipboard die cut like hexagons, half hexagons, but I didn't have 2 kind of grayish ones, so I end up cutting one in half so that I have 2, so the colors will be evenly distributed. And I'm really liking my Tombow Mono multi-glue. I go back and forth with this. Sometimes I use it a lot, sometimes I don't use it very frequently. But I'm actually running out of my glue runner, so I'm having to pull out other glue alternatives like double-sided tape. I just haven't gotten a chance to go buy, and I hate spending money on glue. I feel like it's such a, like, I don't know what the word is. What is it called whenever your resources run out? They're not renewable. And it's just a waste of money. Even though I need it, it's so important. But I just would rather spend my money on embellishments or an order from Ellie Studio or something. I don't know. Glue is my last thing I want to spend money on. And glue is not exactly the cheapest thing in the world. I mean, you can get cheap glue, but you want some quality glue too. And so, yeah. Anyways, back to the layout. I'm using these silver Studio Calico star sequins to kind of scatter about. Sequins and small elements, little circle elements and things like that, confetti type of things. That is the kind of tool of choice I picked this month. And so I have it all kind of scattered about. And I'm really glad I did that because it really kind of felt like it added a finishing element onto my page. I just kind of sprinkled them haphazardly, but with a bit of purpose. And then I'm going through and gluing down. Now, I may have a haul video this month. I kind of doubt it because I bought like two things. One of them are these tweezers, and I really like them. It took me a while to get used to the fact that you squeeze to open and release to close the little tweezer part. That's like so backwards to me. But that's one of the things I've purchased this month, and I've purchased like some stickers. And that's it. I haven't bought anything else. So I don't know if I'll have a haul video, but in case I don't, I bought some tweezers this month, guys. I was tired of trying to pick up the little sequins with my fingers and getting glue all over myself. I'm very pleased with them. They weren't very expensive. I had used a 50% off coupon at Michael's, I believe. So we're actually nearing the end of the layout. I have a few more things that I'm going to add. I'm going to go back and add a vellum speech bubble behind the camera and the hashtag. And then I'm also adding a bit of journaling, and it just says, look at that dino. And I'm going to add that sticker that says, remember this. I had added some glue to it before, and then ended up not using it on the layout. So I'm using it up now. I don't like having things like that sitting around because I'm afraid I'll forget about them or I'll ruin it. So then I end up not having it on something. So I want to make sure I use it before I lose it, basically. But that's pretty much the end of the layout. I will put some still photos at the end. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe so you can see more to come. I do post 3 times a week. Most of the time I try to post 3 times a week. It's usually Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and then I do a weekly update on my blog. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Bye.